You wouldn't believe the stuff people casually ate in the 1970s. Back then, dinner tables looked a whole lot different. Ingredients we wouldn't even touch today were just normal. Some of it, flat out illegal now. Others, banned, recalled, or just considered dangerous. And yet families across America ate them like it was no big deal. Parents served it, kids devoured it, and nobody questioned what was actually in their food. There weren't long ingredient lists, allergy warnings, or nutrition breakdowns. If it came in a box, a can, or a colorful plastic wrapper, it was considered safe. Convenience was everything. The microwave was new and exciting. TV dinners were futuristic. And adding sugar, dyes, or weird additives, that was just part of the magic. Nobody thought twice about it. Canned meat with pink slime. Processed canned meats packed with pink slime. Yup, that mix of beef trimmings treated with ammonia to kill bacteria. It was tossed into school lunches and family dinners without a second thought. It looked like meat, kind of tasted like meat, but was closer to a science experiment. Nowadays, the stuff's practically blacklisted. Fast food chains have dropped it, schools banned it, and food safety experts wince at the mention. But in the 70s, it was just Tuesday night dinner. Mom served it with a side of mashed potatoes, and no one asked where it came from or what was really in it. Red dye number 2. Those bright red cereals and candies, a lot of them got their color from red dye number 2, a synthetic dye that made everything look extra fun and turned out to be potentially cancerous. After studies linked it to health issues, the FDA banned it in 1976. But for years, it was everywhere. Kids poured bowls of scarlet-colored cereal, bit into neon red snacks, and drank fruit punch that looked like lava. Some kids even had red-stained fingers and tongues for days. Today, you'd need special clearance just to use the stuff. Mercury-laden fish tuna casserole was a staple. So was canned salmon. But what nobody talked about? The mercury. In the 70s, heavy metals in fish weren't common dinner table conversation. Pregnant, still eating it. Kids, piling it on sandwiches. Only later did we learn that mercury can mess with brain development and nervous systems. Today, we get warnings, limits, and health advisories. Back then, it was just, pass the tuna, please. And believe it or not, many families thought fish night was a healthy choice. Raw eggs and everything, homemade eggnog. Cookie dough. Even protein shakes. If it called for eggs, people used them raw. Shell to bowl, no worries. The idea of salmonella? Not on most folks' radar. People licked the spoon, scraped the bowl, and drank raw egg like Rocky. It was all part of the fun. Today, you'd have warning labels, food recalls, and lawsuits. Back then, it was just dessert prep with the kids, and no one got sick. Or so they thought. Aspartame without warning. Diet culture exploded in the 70s. That meant artificial sweeteners, especially aspartame, started showing up in everything from soda to chewing gum. No warning labels, no long-term studies, just sweet without the calories. Over time, health concerns piled up, and while it's still used today, regulations and labeling laws have changed big time. In the 70s, it was the miracle zero-calorie cure. Entire generations grew up on diet sodas, diet yogurt, and sugar-free gum without ever thinking about what was replacing the sugar. Smoked meats packed with nitrates, bologna sandwiches, hot dogs, bacon, all favorites back then, all full of nitrates. Those preservatives gave meat a longer shelf life, but later research showed they could also raise cancer risks. These days you'll see no nitrates added labels in bold. But rewind 50 years, nitrates were part of the recipe. Backyard BBQs, lunchboxes, and late-night snacks all featured heavily processed meats. No one read the label because no one needed to. Baby formula was sugar and corn syrup. Yes, really, baby formula back in the 70s was a sweet affair. Some brands included high levels of sugar or corn syrup to make it more palatable. The science behind infant nutrition was still catching up, and ingredients we wouldn't dream of feeding a newborn today were just on the shelf. Unregulated, untested, and widely used. Moms trusted the labels, and doctors often recommended whatever was easiest to digest. Today we have tight regulations and heavy scrutiny. Back then, if it filled the baby up, it was good enough. Peanut butter and everything. We're not saying peanut butter is bad, but in the 1970s, allergies weren't taken seriously. Kids brought peanut butter sandwiches to school, Peanut candy was everywhere, and warnings? Non-existent. Today, most schools ban peanuts entirely. Back then, it was the #1 lunchbox filler. No EpiPens, no disclaimers, just sticky fingers and sandwich crusts. Birthday parties, peanut butter cupcakes. Halloween, peanut-packed candy. And no one carried an allergy card. Chemical-laden cheese. That square of yellow, perfectly folded cheese, mostly chemicals. Cheese food products in the 70s weren't exactly cheese. They were shelf-stable, melt-friendly, and packed with artificial colors and stabilizers. Kraft singles, cheese in a can, even powdered cheese for pasta. It tasted cheesy, but it was about as natural as plastic wrap. Still, grilled cheese sandwiches were a hit, and no one minded that the slices peeled apart like sticky notes. Lead in dishware. This one wasn't about the food, but what held the food. Ceramic plates and mugs often had lead-based glazes. Harmless looking, but when used for hot food or acidic dishes, lead leached into meals. Today, those antiques are collector's items, not dinnerware. But in the 70s, totally normal to eat chili from a lead-glazed bowl. The prettier the plate, the more likely it was filled with harmful chemicals. Unpasteurized milk, raw milk, was trendy before raw meant healthy. Some people believed it was better for you, closer to nature. But it also came with the risk of bacteria like E. coli and listeria. These days, raw milk is heavily regulated or outright banned in many states. Back then, some families drank it straight from the farm. It was part of a natural lifestyle movement that hadn't yet hit mainstream concern. People associated it with purity, not risk. Sugar-covered breakfasts. Let's not forget cereal. The 70s were a golden era for sugar bombs. Think marshmallow bits, chocolate-coated flakes, rainbow puffs, all swimming in milk and marketed as part of a balanced breakfast. Some boxes were 40% sugar by weight, and nobody blinked. Today, parents read labels like hawks. Back then, kids poured a second bowl, and maybe a third. The cartoon mascots were half the fun, and sugary cereals often doubled as after-school snacks. Margarine with trans fats butter was the enemy for a while, and margarine took over. The problem? Early margarine was loaded with trans fats. We didn't know then just how bad those were for heart health, but we sure spread a lot of it on toast. These days, trans fats are banned in many countries. But in the 70s, they were breakfast. Margarine commercials made it sound like the future of healthy eating. Turns out it was anything but. Alcohol in cooking for kids. Cooking with wine or brandy wasn't new, but back then, folks didn't worry about cooking off the alcohol. A rum cake might still pack a punch. And yes, kids got a slice. Sauces, flambés, and boozy desserts were all part of family meals. It wasn't until later that people started asking, wait, should kids be eating this? The idea that alcohol might not burn off entirely was barely considered. It just added flavor. Smoking in restaurants. Okay, not a food exactly, but imagine trying to enjoy your spaghetti while someone at the next table lights up. In the 70s, smoking sections were standard. Ashtrays on tables, smoke drifting across booths, entire families eating dinner with a cigarette burning nearby. Today, completely banned in most public places. But back then, just part of dining out. Some restaurants even had branded ashtrays as part of the decor. It's wild to think how much things have changed. What used to be normal is now dangerous, banned, or straight up illegal. And while some of it is probably for the best, there's something fascinating about the way food used to be. Less rules, more risk, but a whole lot of flavor. Back then, nobody was counting calories or Googling ingredient lists. You just ate what was on the table, and most of the time it tasted amazing. It was a different world, less regulated, less cautious, and a lot more carefree. If you remember eating any of these, let us know in the comments. And if you're glad they're gone, that's okay too. Just don't tell grandma you tossed out the pink hot dogs. She might never forgive you. Or worse, she might bring them to your next family barbecue, just to prove a point.